rose lassi. So rose is also known as Shatpushpi in Sanskrit, and it's excellent for this season. The Ayurvedic concept of cooling is through the intrinsic value of food and not externally, as in shocking temperature cool. So we use spices, we use foods that are cooling and comforting and but not at the same time shocking to your body. So ice, those of you who thought would be the natural response to summer, is not an Ayurvedic thing to do. Because if ice was that important, God would have provided us with ice. We wouldn't have to make it in the refrigerator. Okay, so the ingredients for today's recipe: rose from your garden or from your neighbor's garden. Well, you can pick from neighbor's garden as long as you share the recipe with them or share the food that you're going to have. This is to make sure that it's pesticide free and everything else free, and it's pure love. So these are from our backyard. Yogurt, whole organic yogurt, sugar, some water, and cardamom, green cardamom. So first things first, we're going to make a rose sharbat, or a rose concentrate if you would. And I'm going to demonstrate how you can use it in making lassi. You can also use the same concentrate to make a beverage by itself. You just add water, dilute it with water and drink it. Or you can add it to milk. Again, not refrigerated cold milk, but milk that has been previously boiled and brought down to room temperature. So let's get started. And while I'm showing you the recipes, I'll be joined by Mandarji. He'll be talking about the ahar, or the diet for the summer season. Speaking of diet, we also have a summer spice mix that we have up for sale. So it's all the ingredients of the spices that you would need. So rather than having to go to 10 different places, we have formulated it, and it's been prepared by one of our volunteer students, Manaswini, and it's available for sale. So all you have to do is use that spice and just add it to anything that you want to. It could be vegetables, khichdi, your dal, just about anything. So what I have here is water. I'm bringing it to a boil. These are rose petals. As I said, these are from my backyard. You can use the ones in your backyard or from your neighbors. We will add some boiling water to this, and also some crushed cardamom powder. So I have cardamom pods here. I'm going to just crush them. Because you'll see it in the next step that we're going to squeeze it out, and so all the sediments will be gone. Green cardamom again is a cooling spice. And we already know about the qualities of rose. So while this water is coming to a boil, I'm going to make takra, which would be the basis for the yogurt lassi. Takra, as those who have been here before know, that it is whole milk yogurt, organic, 1 part yogurt and 4 parts water. So here we have about half a cup of yogurt, and this is 2 cups of water. I'm going to mix this This churner is best, but if you're making for 70 people, you can use a hand blender. Like we did back in our kitchen. So you would notice that yogurt, when you taste it, it has sour qualities or sour taste. But when you make it into takra, adding water and churning it this way, it acquires sweet and astringent taste. And Mandarji can speak about the importance of sweet or madhur ras and sour amla ras during this season.
Namaste. Anyway, watching the recipe being made always is sweet, but let me put it in an Ayurvedic way. Ayurveda believes that there are 6 rasas, what we call rasa in Sanskrit. That means there are 6 tastes. Out of them, 3 tastes are pro-growth. That means they will favor the physical growth of an individual. And they are sweet, sour and salty. Obviously, out of these 3 tastes, sweet is the only healthy option which Ayurveda has strongly recommended. I am sure 80% of the audience will immediately go biased and start thinking about diabetes. We'll discuss it later. Ayurveda is not scared about diabetes. Ayurveda has a well-designed regime for diabetes. But before we go for that, Ayurveda strongly recommends that every individual should consume sweet taste in order to ensure the longevity. Particularly as far as the summer season is concerned, when the sun is literally sucking the individual, sucking the watery part of individual, there is a need to restore what has been sucked or taken away. And out of the 6 tastes, sweet is the best option. And that's why Ayurveda recommends that sweet must be consumed in this season. But when Ayurveda recommends do anything, it is aware about the possible unnecessary effects of the same. So if the sweet things are consumed in excess, chances of getting ama, what we call as ama, means chances of getting indigestion and leading to some disease increase. And to ensure that one is able to digest the sweet he or she has consumed, Ayurveda also recommends what Sanjay ji told as amla rasa or sour taste, which will help inflate our digestive fire, which will help increase our digestive capacities and reduce the chances of getting indigestion of it. So in a typical summer schedule, one can expect that use of sweet thing is a must, and which is supplemented or supported by use of sour thing, like Sanjay ji is going to do with the lassi.
Okay, so while Mandarji shared this information, the water here has come to a boil. So all you need to do is simply pour this hot water on the rose petals. So I boiled about a cup of warm water and I'm pouring about half of it here. Going to reserve the other half, and it's best if you cover this like this so that the steam stays inside. In this other half, I'm going to add sugar. This is pure cane sugar. And all I'm doing is making a simple syrup. Okay, now we're getting into a cooking show mode. So this is how it will look like. Once your rose petals have been steeped, and this is your simple sugar syrup. So what is the next step is you just take out these rose petals like this. Your hands are your best tools in cooking. You can never get better tool than that, irrespective of wherever you go. Just squeeze out the juice from here. Here's your rose liqueur or whatever you want to call it. Now, don't get attached to the color. Think about the qualities. So if you were using yellow or white rose petals, it won't be as pink or red in color. I was fortunate I had a lot of red roses today in my backyard, so it came out really nice. So next step is mixing this simple sugar syrup to this rose water. Now you can increase the quantity of sugar if you want to make it a really thick concentrate. Or the other option is you can add some more sugar to the yogurt or milk that you want to add it to. So here, this thing is ready. All you need to do is use a simple strainer or a cheesecloth and just strain it. Ready? You can simply add this to your takra. And see how this how the color changes. And not only the color, the qualities. So this is an excellent recipe. During this season, you can use it as a meal by itself. Oh, our sugar syrup is also ready, so we'll use it for another time. That in a nutshell was the recipe for the rose lassi. Any questions?
Is the cardamom in the seed, or is it, or in the pod that you used, or the seeds?
I added the whole thing, but you could just take out the seeds, because anyway when you squeeze the juice, everything will get strained. And you'll have a clear syrup like this.
How much yogurt did you use again?
It depends on how many people are going to have it. This was just a demo for half a cup of yogurt, so 2 cups water. The ratio is more important. 1:4.
And then, I'm sorry, and then the ratio to the rose of the completed.
So if you were to
compost,
take 1 cup of rose petals, you would need about 1/4 of a cup of hot water to soak the petals, about 1/4 to half a cup of water for making the simple syrup. And in the syrup, the ratio should be 1:2, 1 part water, 2 parts sugar. If you want to make it even more dense, add more sugar. It's more important to get the rose and the sugar both. So if you really need to do it, you can add some more sugar later on in this. Be the case. You can use this, as I said, you can dilute this with plain water and make it a sharbat or a beverage. You can use it with takra, as we made the lassi today, or you can use it or mix it with milk. Previously boiled 100% organic milk, not out of the refrigerator, and no ice in it. Do that, yes.
Does the aroma of the roses, do you take that into consideration when you use the rose petals?
Yeah, it will be there. It'll get infused, and it's important. You'll feel it. Manaswini, can you bring out a sample? So I let Mandarji continue with the food part, and Sanjay ji would be talking about the lifestyle part during the summer. And both are very important to me.
Thank you, Sanjay ji, for the receipt. Now I will be explaining the Ayurvedic recommendations about diet in case of summer season. As Shunya ji has referred before, Ayurveda believes that there are 6 seasons in a year, and in order to maintain healthy condition and in order to prevent diseases, one has to keep on changing the lifestyle and diet as per the season. Ayurveda also divides 1 year period into 2 major groups. One is marked by the pro-growth factors in the nature. Means even if you do nothing, the body will keep on growing because the nature wants us to grow. And us means not only human beings, the nature wants buffaloes and pigs and pigeons and cows to grow. We are children of nature and we are trying to be smarter than nature. That is the biggest mistake. So this period, what Ayurveda has named as Visarga, means the pro-growth period. And the exactly opposite of that is called Adana, that means anti-growth period. Now the summer season, according to Ayurveda, comes under the Adana period, that is anti-growth period. As everybody will agree that the sun is so intense that the season, particularly the summer season, is marked by 3 main qualities. The lightness, it induces lightness amongst all of us. It also induces the heat, which everybody knows, and anticipating heat, everybody uses air conditioners, which I will comment on later on. The Vedika students already know it. So Laghu means lightness is the quality induced by nature. Heat is the quality induced by nature. And lastly, dryness is the quality induced by nature. So in summer season, these 3 qualities are actually sucking the bala, what we call bala in Sanskrit, means sucking the power of an individual. And that's why we go on weakening. Now the problem in 21st century lifestyle is whether we are that much sensitive to know that we are weakening. So to say, it's very logical. We are children of nature. There is sun in the sky, which is very hot and intense. We are perspirating a lot. Now those who are after the modernized lifestyle using a number of deos and air conditioners and this and that, please excuse me for next 5 minutes. Then you will come to know the beauty of the Ayurvedic philosophy. Now what the nature is saying that because the sun is hot and intense, trying to dry up every living individual, forget about the living individual. If you happen to see the soil in the summer season, even the soil has got cracks. Even the leaves of the trees get dried. What about you and me? So it is the season of getting dried, getting sucked under the influence of hot, dry and light qualities. Now because we are perspirating a lot in this season,
Buttered milk.
Ayurveda believes that there is a fire representative in the tummy, in the abdomen, which is responsible for digesting everything which goes through the mouth. Doesn't matter, even if it's a medicine, even if it's water, only a sip of water, a delicious recipe like what Sanjay ji has made, a piece of meat, or even a sip of alcohol, doesn't matter. Everything that goes through mouth needs to be worked upon by fire, which we call as digestive fire. Now Ayurveda has clearly quoted that during summer season, because we perspirate a lot, the fire representatives are shed out, right? Because of extreme heat we are perspirating and the fire representatives are being sent out. Does it make some sense that if the fire representatives are being sent out, there will be less fire to digest the food in summer season? If you apply your logic, and everybody has that capacity, including animals. Animals know what to eat and what not to eat. But we need to join different schools to know this, right? So Ayurveda has said that because in hot and dry summer we perspirate a lot, that means we are throwing heat out. So the heat available for digesting food in our tummy is less. So the first rule, make it a rule if you want to be healthy. The first rule is the diet should be considerably reduced or cut down in summer season into bracket in order to be healthy and continue to be healthy. If one doesn't want to continue with the health, doctors are there to welcome you. And if you really want to continue your healthy nature or prevent diseases, Vedika is there to welcome you. Because that's what we are doing at Vedika. Our students know how to do it. Our teachers are there to show how it can be done. So the first rule is reduce heavy food considerably. Second rule is preferably the food should be liquid. If possible, some sweet must be there. That's why Sanjay ji has done this tasty recipe, because it suffices two criteria. It is liquid. So to say, it is common sense, right? We are perspirating a lot. That means the liquid part of our body, watery part of our body is going out. So don't you think it is highly logical that we replace it by consuming some liquids? There are different options, but does it make some sense to you? If yes, then Vedika is there to help you go into details. So food must be liquid. Because it's hot outside, food must be cold by potency. Sanjay ji already explained it, that we go by the potency, the basic quality, not merely by touch. Otherwise ice would have been a great option. But thanks Sanjay ji, he clarified at the onset that Ayurveda is not a science which goes superficially. Otherwise ice creams and cold drinks will be the tips for the summer, and you need not come here at Vedika, because the parlors, ice cream parlors and multinationals are there to lead to the path. Right? But the food should be cold by potency. It must have a capacity to take the heat out of body. That is the second rule. As far as the dietary details are concerned, anyway, we do it here in our sanghas, Thursday sanghas, Saturday sanghas, and in our intensives with the students. But because it's a small gathering and a limited time, I will quickly say some dietary things which we can incorporate in our diet. First of all, rice is okay in this season. But when it comes to meat, because I am aware I am talking here in the US and California, etc. So it's very easy for me to say don't eat meat at all, because that's why we follow here. That's why we follow by heart. Even if you agree to this, maybe your family member, spouse, friend, your beloved one will not agree. So ideally speaking, no meat in this season. Let me add here that Ayurveda, don't consider Ayurveda as an orthodox science. Ayurveda is sheer scientific. Ayurveda has said yes to non-vegetarian food items, but they should be consumed in the winter season. Summer season is not the right period to consume them. So ideally, no meat. Why? Because meat is heavy to digest, and we are not in that capacity in summer season to digest heavy stuff. Even in case of vegetarian meals, we are not allowed to eat a lot of sweets. India is known for sweets, but even Indian sweets, only because they are vegetarian, it is not that they are allowed. Because Ayurveda thinks about properties, qualities, and not about whether they are Indian or non-Indian, whether they are Hindu or non-Hindu. Ayurveda is a life science, so it goes beyond all these limitations. So no heavy food for sure. As far as the other qualities are concerned, ideally some types of oil, we at Vedika prefer using ghee, because ghee increases life. Ghee is good for our senses, etc. So something unctuous, something sticky, oily in colloquial language has to be added in what we are eating. Why? Because otherwise it will further dry up our body. So that is the next rule which we must follow. The books say that 4 qualities have to be incorporated in the diet in summer season, and these 4 are laghu, that is light, very heavy, very easy to digest; shita, cold by potency; then snigdha, that means unctuous or having some oiliness or like ghee or some stickiness in it; and sweet, that's what we started with the sweet test discussion. But practically speaking, take it from me, there are many dignitaries I can see on and around me, respectable personalities, everybody will confirm that to find out even a single dietary item which provides for, which fulfills all these 4 criteria is next to impossible. Right? So in summer season, ideally speaking, summer season suggests that it's not the time to eat a lot. it's not the time to drink a lot. Why? Because we are not in a position to digest. So in other words, there are some compromise formulae for us. Because if we really want to provide for all these criteria, no food item will be available. That means the one which fulfills as many as criteria out of these 4 will be the right food. And one major group will be liquid food items like made up from milk or made up from buttermilk, what Sanjay ji has recently made. There is a slight difference which I must add here, particularly for those who are new to the Ayurveda and Vedika, because Vedika students know, they practice it in life. Sanjay ji started with yogurt, right? He explained that yogurt was there. And he added water, he churned it well and converted into buttermilk. A newcomer is prone to think that there is not much difference because yogurt is there, Sanjay ji used it, Sanjay ji is the chief chef, so I am allowed to use yogurt. So please be careful. Ayurveda insists on what we call samskara, the processing as well. So even the churning processing called churning can bring about notable changes in the qualities of the food. So yogurt, I know many of you will be surprised and not appreciate this concept, but it's for your health. Yogurt is contraindicated in summer season. If at all you want to have good health, if at all you want to prevent diseases in future, yogurt is contraindicated. Milk is allowed. Why? Because milk is unctuous, it is cold by potency, it is sweet by taste according to Ayurveda. Even if you don't add sugar into it, milk continues to be sweet and it is liquid. So milk is allowed. If possible, particularly cow's milk is allowed. Then curd, the second stage or the next stage is actually contraindicated because it's very difficult to digest. Then again you do some samskara, a little processing with a lot of knowledge which Sanjay ji has. You convert it into buttermilk and that is allowed because compared to yogurt, buttermilk is far better for your digestion. Then again you convert, you don't convert the same buttermilk, but you can get butter out of buttermilk, which is not a great idea having it in summer because our digestion has been weakened. And the last product, the cream out of it, is ghee, which Ayurveda strongly recommends. So in general, this is the diet pattern about milk products. Milk and buttermilk is okay for consumption. Ideally, no meat. Ideally, no alcohol. Again, let me add you that Ayurveda is open to different things. So Ayurveda hasn't said no to alcohol. In some seasons, if the person wants, Ayurveda says yes to alcohol. But this is not the right season because all alcohols in Ayurvedic view are drying agents. Even if they look liquid, they are in bottle and then you take it into glasses. That doesn't mean that liquidity confirms their unctuousness. Okay, so they are liquids, but they have a great capacity to dry you up from within, which is very dangerous. And that's why at least in summer season, Ayurveda says no alcohol at all. Sorry? Yeah, it is heating as well. So it is, you can say, double the danger. But as I told you, Ayurveda is an open science, open to different streams without compromising to the philosophy. So Ayurveda says that those who really cannot stay without alcohol, which is not a very good idea anyway, but those who really don't want to stay or they think that I cannot survive about it, then for them there is some compromise formula in Ayurveda. Ayurveda says that ideally no alcohol at all, but if at all a person wants to go for that, he or she must add a lot of water into it. Needless to say, no bubbly drink, no aerated drink with alcohol, because aerated drink has a great capacity to penetrate the unwanted qualities of alcohols to the deepest of the deep. So this is how Ayurveda looks at it. Same is with meat. If a person say I cannot survive without eating non-vegetarian food, meat, so at least red meat should be avoided. If possible, the pieces should be avoided. You call it broth, right? Chicken or mutton. Soup. The soups of the mutton or chicken can be consumed, but not the pieces because they are very heavy to digest. I think I have got only 1 or 2 more minutes, so I will conclude by saying that in many parts of the globe, it's already over. Okay, 1 more minute. So Tracy has kindly given 1 more minute. So I must conclude that actually this is the wisdom which is pro nature and which is no doubt for our health. So in many parts of the globe, actually summer regime, what we call as Grishma Rutucharya, has been followed since centuries together. You can quickly refer it to the, have you heard about Ramadan or Ramzan, Roza? The Muslim people,
Yes.
they follow some religious fast in the name of God, of the Almighty, Allah. Please don't forget that the religion was basically developed in the hot and dry area of the Middle East. If Dr. Mandar says something to an audience, I am sure that it is not that it is 100% taken up. But if it's a religious or a spiritual leader who says something, it is taken up 90%, 95% or maybe 100%. So that's the secret. Secondly, in many parts of India, you must have heard that people do religious fasts in the name of gods or goddesses. Actually, it's an attempt to help us prevent diseases in future. So if you really care for your digestion in summer season, the next seasons when you are allowed to enjoy food, you can really enjoy the food. So we started by a beautiful movie about Vivekananda, who said that you are the creator of your destiny. Ayurveda says that you are what you eat and you can design your own diet. Give it a thought. If you think it makes some sense, Vedika is there to help you out in future. Thank you.
So what kind of sweets should be taken and what's not? I mean, you said North Indian sweets, but what kind of sweets?
Okay, it's good that you raised this question. The answer is actually simple. Sweet is a taste. Solid foods with sweet means solid sweets are generally contraindicated. But if you mix some sweet thing with liquids, like in Indian perspective it is called as sharbat, means water is the main medium, and some sweets with some sour things like lemon, for example, are added. So one option is you mix different things and mix them with water. Second option is like Sanjay ji has done, you have buttermilk as the main medium and mix a few things into it. So similarly you can...
So what he was trying to emphasize on is that the light food is more important. Yes, mother, the taste is important, but not as in a chocolate fudge cake would not be the answer.
So that's the reason I asked
Yeah.
for it. You,
Yeah.
you said that no Indian sweets, but there are other lot of sweets things, and you are saying you can have sweets, so you know.
So
How
light
about,
sweets.
how about fruits?
Again, so to say, citrus fruits we can take in this example. Why? Because compared to other fruits which are only sweet, they are less difficult to digest. Pomegranate we can take, orange we can take, but banana will be not a very good idea, because in fact nature has suggested everything. If we cut open banana, we can get out of it that it is like a firm something, heavy to digest. Same is with apple. But if you open a pomegranate, which Ayurveda praises greatly, it speaks that it is not that having uniform surface and very heavy to digest.
Like all those melons and all that, those are fine.
Yeah.
Cucumber would be a great option.
Thank you.
In San Francisco, obviously, we've got sort of a combination thing going on. We've got the longer days, the light, but it's cold and it's foggy, it's damp, and it's not, you know, you don't sweat that much. So what would you recommend?
Yeah, it's a very good question, I would say. Ayurveda has clear concepts about what can happen. So if there is some season according to calendar, printed on the calendar, but if the nature is not like that, Ayurveda calls it as Rutu Viparya, means the season according to the period is so and so, but the weather is not accordingly. And Ayurveda has suggested what to do, means gradually reducing the normal Rutu regime, normal seasonal regime, and gradually accepting the other seasonal regime. But these are like technical details, so we didn't include it here.
Yes.
Our students, they learn it in first or second year anyway.
Okay.
So gradual disconnection from expected Rutu, expected season, and gradual acceptance of the practical season, whatever is there.
Okay, thank you.
So what we also learned from Sanjay ji is he talked, Mandar ji he also talked about alcohol. So ice cold beer is not the answer in summer. And cut down your trips to Napa Valley, because this is not the time for it. So Sanjay ji would talk more about
I
lifestyle.
have something to say about non-vegetarian items and wine as mentioned in Ayurveda. Of course, you are 100% right that Ayurveda is not against it. But in the context of mental diseases, Ayurveda is very clear that one who is nivritta misha madhyoya, if one does not take meat, does not take alcoholic drinks, he will never be subjected to mental diseases. That's what it says in the context of Bhuta Vidya, I mean mental diseases.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Can
Thank you, sir.
I add half a minute? Not even half. Because there is a concept of achar rasaya. Don't worry, not even half a minute. I just wanted to add that there is a concept of achar rasaya, means behavioral things which are pro-life. And Shunya ji in her sanghas on Thursday or other incidences, she takes care of all the mind and spirit related things. So we are aware about it and we keep on addressing these things. Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you Mandarji, and yeah, I will cut down the time, don't worry.
We'll talk to about a little before 5,
Yeah,
and then we have a doctor that would like to
yeah,
take
I know,
just a
I will
couple
announce it,
minutes.
I'll
Yeah.
announce it, yeah.
Yeah.
So, thank you both of them adding, because it was my thing to lifestyle, and clearly I appreciate sir adding that he is a great person of wisdom, because we say that there is more tamasic guna in both of them. There are 3 qualities of mind: rajas, tamas and sattva. Sattva is light and rajas is ego and tamas is dark. So eating non-veg and drinking alcohol increases the more tamasic guna in your body and makes you more vulnerable to the mental disorders. Let me start the lifestyle considerations in this next coming summer ritu with a phone call this morning to India. I spoke with my son and I asked, what are you doing? I'm sleeping on the terrace. So I called at 9:30 and it was 10 p.m. night in India. So he is sleeping on the terrace in the moonlight. This is what told in Charak Samhita, that in the Grishma Ritu, when there is too much of heat, I do talk about this when the lady asked a question about there is no heat here, so what to do. So these are abnormal Ritus. Then you have to make your own adjustments with your own logic. Okay? So I'm talking about where now Indian temperature where I stay is 110 degree Fahrenheit. So you have to, because moon is said to be like visargadana vikshepaihi surya soman letaha. Means whatever is the microcosm is in the macrocosm. So moon is very cooling. You saw a beautiful full moon 2 days back. It was Buddha Purnima. So moon is cooling and wind in the night. One has to, and during the lifestyle, exercise should be reduced. This is the only time when the doctor says that too much exercise is not good for the body. Too much. Some exercise is very okay until you feel that you have started sweating. Then over exercise may reduce because already Mandari said that the heat in the sun is absorbing the energy from the body. So it makes a lot of sense that we have very less energy inside the body, so we are not supposed to do heavy exercise. Like how many of you go for a jogging at 3 o'clock or 2 o'clock in the afternoon? Very bad. In the sun, especially in the scorching sun, everybody I have seen in San Francisco also running with earbuds and also. This is Akash Mahabhuta. And continuously Akash Mahabhuta is fed with unwanted music, and Akash Mahabhuta is directly related to air, and Vata will go up in the body. So continuously listening to the music and running in hot sun, after the lunch especially, my God. And Ayurvedic texts really said that soon after eating, if you are going for any exercise, it's not Ayurvedic way. I can tell you in the modern science also, why do we feel drowsy after eating the food? We feel like sleeping because all our circulation is concentrated towards the gut, that is the stomach, because it wants to aid the digestion. But if you are doing exercise, running after the food, you are forcefully diverting the blood circulation towards the extremities, and that itself is the cause for indigestion, and it's the cause for amavata, it is said, that is rheumatoid arthritis. Snigdam bhuktavato hi annam vyayamam karosatasa. Soon after eating, you are exercising. So the body wants the blood circulation to be focused on the digestion, but you are diverting it. You are going against the body and diverting it to the exercise, to the extremities. Because you are running, your leg needs more blood circulation. You are doing some work with the hands, your hand needs some blood circulation. So it is very scientific that the blood circulation is diverted from the gut, so that digestion is hampered, and lot of unwanted toxins start manifesting in the body. That's what we call it as free radicals. That is AMA. And once AMA starts collecting, then it will affect all the joints and will lead to rheumatoid arthritis and any other diseases like, may you call it as gouty arthritis, anything. So no exercise, less exercise, very legitimate. Until your body feels tired, leave it. No jogging or running marathons in the sunlight, of course. Early in the morning, 6:30, or evening after 7 o'clock, when there is somewhat cold wind, you can just do a brisk walk until you are tired. No heavy weight lifting type of exercises. And Ayurveda advises you to wear some Shita Virya Dravyas, that is cold potency. I again appreciate Dr. Sanjay ji for making sure that Shita, the coldness should be not from something which is very cold.
Air conditioning.
It should be from, air condition. It is not mentioned in Ayurveda, right? So, because your body is supposed to be getting some heat in summer and you are against that. And suddenly if you are coming from, let me talk just a few minutes about air conditioning, that if you are from the sunlight directly moving into a temperature of 40 to 50, sudden variations in the temperature, skin is confused. And this is one of the highest cause for skin diseases, sudden variation. Or you are in the hot sun and suddenly standing on the cold shower, under the cold shower. Very bad. Because the skin is confused. The programming in the skin is confused, that suddenly from hot, you are cold. Or you are sitting in a very cold temperature room and suddenly going to sunlight. So what you have to do is, last Sangha also I told that you have to stand below the shade until your body is adjusted to some temperature, and slowly you have to enter into the temperature variations. So exercises, then I said about some Shita Virya Dravyas, like wearing some garlands or the necklace made up of pearl, original pearl. Because pearl is said to be cooling. And to add more cooling potency, this is already cold, no need, but if you feel somewhat more heat in your body, you can keep this for at least 2 to 3 hours in the moonlight. Even milk, or making kheer, that is rice with the milk in the moonlight.
Not in the fridge.
Not in the fridge. Not in the fridge. Making under the moonlight, because moon is having a cooling effect. So that cooling rays of the moon will give you that energy to cool down your body from inside. Then wearing this, the pearls, or there is one pravada, that is coral. The coral, okay, the pink one, the pink stone, or any other stones which are cooling in nature, that can be done. And about Abhyanga, the best oil said to be is the cooling effects, the oil which are having cooling effect, like coconut oil, or Chandana Taila, that is sandal oil. The drugs like sandal, or there are many other drugs. If you want to learn more about the herbs which are cooling in nature, you can definitely join our Vedikas course, where we teach about all the herbs which are cooling, heating, and different things. So those oils can be used for massage. Then spending some time in the garden, especially in the spring or late spring, where there is a beautiful fragrance of flowers and wind is coming from the beautiful plants, trees. So spending the time in the garden. And also there is a beautiful thing said that Sahruda Katha, that is mixing with friends of like-mindedness and discussing in the gardens where there is a very cold wind, it will be very cooling for the heat of the summer. So a diet part has been spoken already. There are many things to be told about the lifestyle. No alcohol, absolutely, because it's very drying. And I was telling to my first year students, alcohol has 10 qualities which are exactly opposite to Oja, that is your immunity. Body immunity has 10 qualities, alcohol also has 10 qualities, and each of the 10 qualities is exactly opposite to the immunity. And hold your breath. Immunity's 10 qualities are exactly same as the 10 qualities of cow's milk.
So drink milk, forget alcohol.
Instead of alcohol. So Okay, I'm getting the
Sign.
sign from Tracy. We shall discuss some other time. Thank you very much. Now I request our guest, Dr. Kaleji, wants to speak something.
Please join us.
ओम श्री धन्वंतरे नमः. गुरु ब्रह्मा गुरु विष्णु गुरुदेव महेश्वरा गुरु साक्षात परब्रह्म तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः.
I think everybody knows the mantra. I'll just introduce Dr. Kale briefly. Dr. Kale is a senior medical officer from an Ayurvedic college and hospital in Maharashtra, and presently he is on his tour to US. So he will be sharing a few comments.
I will talk in my mother language Marathi. अमेरिकेतील योग आणि आयुर्वेद प्रेमी बंधू भगिनी आणि विद्यार्थी मित्रांनो,
Brothers and sisters and friends who love Ayurveda, he is addressing you by this.
या ठिकाणी मला अतुलताईंनी 2 शब्द व्यक्त करण्याची जी संधी दिली त्याबद्दल प्रथमतः मी त्यांचे मनपूर्वक ऋण व्यक्त करतो.
So he is thanking Shunyaji for giving this opportunity to interact with you here.
भारतामध्ये 18व्या शतकापर्यंत साधारणतः 1820 पर्यंत गुरुकुल शिक्षण पद्धती अस्तित्वात होती.
The Gurukul type of education system which Shunyaji referred, and it was referred by many other speakers, Dr. Kale says that up to about 1820, somewhere at least in India, this type of education system was still on.
त्यानंतरच्या काळात गुरुकुल पद्धती मागे पडली. त्याचबरोबर योग आयुर्वेद व वेद उपनिषदे संस्कृत उर्दू हे सुद्धा मागे पडले.
After 1820, gradually the Gurukul system of education was out of the mainstream, and as a consequence the sciences like Yoga, Ayurveda and languages like Sanskrit and even Urdu, they suffered from the evil.
भारतामध्ये आयुषच्या रूपाने आणि अमेरिकेत वेदिका ग्लोबलच्या रूपाने आशेचा किरण आपल्या सर्वांना या ठिकाणी आता नवीन दिसू लागलेला आहे.
Dr. Kale sees that there is still some hope in the sense that the Indian government has initiated a department of Ayush. They call it Department of Ayush because Ayurveda, Yoga, Unani, Siddha and Homeopathy, they have clubbed all of them into one department, is working for the betterment of the science, and he also wants to add that here in US Vedika is doing a similar type of work.
वेदिका ग्लोबल हे आयुर्वेदातलंच या ठिकाणचे गुरुकुल आहे असं मला तरी वाटतं. माथुरताईंनी ज्या गेल्या काही दिवसापूर्वी जे बीज लावलं त्याचं आज वटवृक्षात रूपांतर झालेलं आहे. हे सर्व योग आणि आयुर्वेद प्रेमींना अभिमानाची गोष्ट आहे.
He thinks that it's worth feeling proud that the noble cause Shunyaji had it in mind some years before has now considerably expanded, and one can see the overall growth of Vedika Global. So he is happy with that.
जगामध्ये आयुर्वेदाचा आणि योगाचा प्रचार आणि प्रसार करण्यासाठी ज्यांनी योगदान दिले त्यामध्ये पुण्यात ते डॉक्टर PH कुलकर्णी आणि या ठिकाणी आपल्या माथुरताई. आम्ही भारतीय फिलॉसॉफी याच्यामध्ये गार्गींना खूप आदराचं स्थान देतो. गार्गी, मैत्री आणि लोपामुद्रा ह्या तत्वविद्या होऊन गेल्या, पण मला असं वाटतं की प्राचीताई ह्याच आधुनिक गार्गी होत असं मी त्यांना आज तरी मानतो.
He mentioned a few personalities who are instrumental in disseminating the divine message of Ayurveda globally, and what he added was, it's really good to translate it like this. He mentioned a few characters from Indian history who were female, who were known for their learned character, Gargi, Maitreyi and Lopamudra. So Dr. Kale just wants to equate what Shunyaji is doing here. So he wants to equate that Shunyaji is like Gargi of today.
पुण्याचे गिरगाव इंटरनॅशनल आणि अश्विन आयुर्वेद कॉलेज भारतात योग आणि आयुर्वेदाच्या प्रचारात कार्यशील आहेत. मला या ठिकाणी नमूद करावंसं वाटतं की टेक्सास येथील अँडरसन कॅन्सर युनिट जे आहे त्या ठिकाणी कॅन्सरवर उपचार केले जातात त्या ठिकाणी रेडिएशन, केमोथेरपी आणि ऑपरेशन नंतर आयुर्वेदिक उपचार केले जातात. त्या ठिकाणी त्यांनी स्पेशली असं लिटरेचर पब्लिश केलेलं आहे की साईड इफेक्ट होऊ नये म्हणून आणि झालेले बरे व्हावे म्हणून आयुर्वेद हे निश्चित चांगलं उपयोग होतं. आणि टेक्सासचा जो रिपोर्ट आहे तो सर्व जगामध्ये मान्य झालेला आहे.
There is a news about US from an Indian person for us. He says that somewhere in Texas, attempts are on to give Ayurvedic medication for reducing side effects of radiation or chemotherapy, or to prevent unwanted consequences of radiation and chemotherapy.
They have given herbal medicines to their patients.
So what he means to add is they are trying different herbal medicines for achieving this purpose.
अमेरिकेमध्ये आम्हा डॉक्टरांना डायटिशियन बनवलं जातं. आम्ही डायटिशियन हे अभिमानाने या ठिकाणी सांगू इच्छितो, कारण चरक आणि सुश्रुत आणि वाघभट यांनी जे सांगितलेलं आहे तेच हिपोक्रेटिसनी 2000 वर्षापूर्वी सांगितलेलं आहे. आवर फूड शुड बी मेडिसिन, आवर मेडिसिन शुड बी फूड.
So he expresses his concern, which if I may so, me and Sanjay ji will also agree that in US or in many other developed countries, Ayurvedic doctors are equated or treated as dietitians, and he turns it into a positive statement by saying that even Hippocrates has said the same thing: food is medicine and medicine is food.
चिली या देशामध्ये ट्रॅडिशनल मेडिसिनचा समावेश नॅशनल हेल्थ पॉलिसीमध्ये केलेला आहे. त्या ठिकाणी ट्रॅडिशनल मेडिसिन ॲलोपॅथीबरोबर वापरलं जातं. हेल्थ फॉर ऑल, ऑल फॉर हेल्थ या ठिकाणी त्यांचं जे राष्ट्रीय उद्दिष्ट आहे ते त्यांनी पूर्ण केलेलं आहे.
Dr. Kale also refers to some happening in Chile, the South American country, I think. He says that in Chile, the traditional medicine has been officially accepted by the government in their national health policy.
चायनामध्ये ते रिसर्च चालू आहे. त्या ठिकाणी तिबेटियन मेडिसिन त्यांचं पारंपरिक मेडिसिन आहे, त्याच्यावर संशोधन केलं आहे आणि ते जगात वापरलं जातं. ऑस्टिओ आर्थरायटिस म्हणजे अस्थिगतवादमध्ये आम्ही जे डायसिलिन कॅप्सूल वापरतो त्याच्यामध्ये इंट्राआर्टिक्युलर इंजेक्शन देण्याचं ठरवतं आणि जॉईंट रिप्लेसमेंट होण्याचं प्रमाण कमी केलेलं आहे. तेही वनस्पती तयार केलेलं आहे. आणि दुसरं आम्ही मेंदूगत ज्वर म्हणजे सेरेब्रल मलेरियासाठी इमाल म्हणून जे इंजेक्शन वापरतो ते सुद्धा हर्बल इंजेक्शनच आहे.
So he also refers to some attempts in China where herbal medicines are also used, and he specifically refers two medicines, one used for osteoarthritis and the other for some cerebral condition, where cerebral malaria, where actually herbal medicines are used in the injectable form.
Due to their research, it is possible.
And he says that it is supported by the recent research.
आता जे अँटी हायपरटेन्सिव्ह जे ड्रग आहेत त्याच्यातले 50 ते 60% ड्रग हे वनौषधींपासून तयार केलेले आहेत. त्यामुळे डायटिशियन म्हणून किंवा आम्हाला या ठिकाणी अजिबात कमीपणा वाटत नाही हे मी या सगळ्यांच्या समोर अभिमानाने सांगू इच्छितो.
So he adds that in the present scenario, about 50% of the anti-hypertensive drugs globally are actually made up from herbal medicines.
आणि आता जपानमध्ये एक रिसर्च झालेला आहे की रजोनिवृत्ती म्हणजे पोस्ट मेनोपॉजल सिंड्रोम याच्यामध्ये प्लम म्हणजे आलूबुखार याचा अतिशय चांगला उपयोग होतो. तेही या ठिकाणी मला नमूद करावंसं वाटतं.
The recent research from Japan he quoted was about the PMS post menopausal syndrome, and one of the easily available herb was successfully used in the PMS. What he adds.
सध्या आता उन्हाळ्याचा सीझन चालू आहे. नासागत रक्तस्राव म्हणजे एपिस्टॅक्सिसचे पेशंट ज्यावेळेला जास्त दिसतात त्यावेळेला जे आयुर्वेदामध्ये शोणित स्थापन म्हणून असं ते सांगितलेलं आहे. उशीर, चंदन, लाजाळू याच्याबरोबर या ठिकाणी आपल्याकडे कुट्टू काटा बकवीट पावडर मिळते. याचा हिमोस्टॅटिक उपयोग चांगला होतो. आम्ही जे RCK म्हणून टॅबलेट वापरतो त्याचं जे रुटीन यापासून तयार होतं ते बकवीट त्याला काशा किंवा ओखला म्हणतात याच्यापासून तयार झालेलं आहे.
He also refers some of cooling medicines like sandal, which everybody knows, khas, which is another medicine used in India, and similar such medicines which can reduce nasal bleeding and other bleeding disorders.
परवाच्या 24 तारखेच्या इंडिया वेस्टच्या अंकामध्ये एक चांगले आर्टिकल न्यूज आलेली आहे की त्यांनी अमेरिकन प्रशासनाने भारतामध्ये विद्यार्थ्यांना पाठवण्याचं प्रमाण वाढवण्याचं आवाहन केलेलं आहे. गेल्या काही वर्षांमध्ये भारतातून अमेरिकेत येणाऱ्याची संख्या 1 लाख आहे, पण गेल्या वर्षी फक्त 4300 विद्यार्थी गेले. तर अमेरिकन शासन जे विद्यार्थी भारतात अभ्यासासाठी जाऊ इच्छितात त्यांना प्रोत्साहन द्यायला तयार आहे. आणि इंडिया पासपोर्ट टू इंडिया अशी त्यांची स्कीम आहे.
India,
पासपोर्ट टू इंडिया,
India,
इंडिया वेस्ट. India West magazine.
He refers to some magazine called India West
Choose
and
that.
an article therein, and he says that now there is a mission headed Passport to India, officially initiated by American government, and instead of Indian students coming to US, he says that the American government now will trigger or will help that the American students are visiting India for educational purpose.
Excuse me, he said about something about the buckwheat.
No, buckwheat, yeah. Buckwheat, it is called okha.
That was for epistaxis.
Epistaxis,
nasal
all
bleeding.
nasal bleeding, PV bleeding, PR bleeding, is stroke, hemiplegia, it will give excellent result. In a renal patient is suffering from hypertension, along with you can use any drug, it is beneficial to us. दीर्घ इंटरनॅशनल व अश्विन आयुर्वेद कॉलेजच्या वतीने मी आपल्या सर्वांना या ठिकाणी भारतात येण्याचं निमंत्रण देऊ इच्छितो आणि तुम्हाला सर्वोत्तम जे उत्कृष्ट ज्ञान आयुर्वेदाचं आहे ते आम्ही दोन्ही संस्था तुम्हाला पुढील काळात निश्चित देऊ. आणि दुसरं असं की प्राचीताईंचा आम्ही भारतात सत्कार करायचं ठरवलं आहे, डिसेंबर आहे, त्यावेळेला तुम्ही सर्वांनी यावं अशी मी दोन्ही संस्थाच्या वतीने आपल्या सर्वांना विनंती करतो.
He refers to a couple of organizations where he is associated with. One of them is Dirghayu International, where Shunyaji was also associated a couple of decades ago. So he wants to thank us for having him here on behalf of both these organizations, and he has declared that Shunyaji will be felicitated in the month of December this year. So he has invited all of us there.
आणि दोन शब्द संपवतो. नमो देव धन्वंतरी सौख्यदाता, जगी हे एकाची असे दुःख हरता, प्रभो दीर्घायु आरोग्य सर्वास देवी, अशी प्रार्थना तुझ्या एक पायी. नमो देव धन्वंतरी सौख्यदाता.
So he ended up with a prayer, and he wants me to translate it for you. So the initial charana, initial quarter of the prayer says that we pray to Lord Dhanvantari, who is responsible for our happiness and healthiness.
जगी एक हाची असे दुःख हरता.
The other quarter says that Dhanvantari is the only character who is really capable of taking all our sorrows or grievances away.
प्रभो दीर्घायु आरोग्य सर्वास देवी.
He is the one who ensures longevity to all of us.
अशी प्रार्थना तुझ्या एक पायी.
And the prayer ends with saying that everybody should live long and healthy and in happiness.
धन्यवाद.
I have to request this Sunya Acharya ji to do something about Ayurveda. The first thing is to be done is that the United States government should be persuaded immediately to grant or to accept Ayurvedic health care also in their system of insurance. That is number one. And number two, in India, while I was
Hopefully in my life.
director of Dharma Hinduja International Group of Vedic Studies, I had initiated something on comparative study of Ayurvedic treatments. And one modern medical college and one Ayurvedic college might be your college, just possible. I don't know, I don't remember the name of that Ayurvedic college. They had agreed to conduct research on specified Ayurvedic treatments. They had started with diabetes and some stomach problems. And I don't know what is the fate of that comparative, position of the treatment. So similar things, I think, I would request Acharya Prachi Mathurji, Pratichi Mathurji. She is Pratichi and Prachi. She is Prachi originally, and now she is Pratichi. So she should initiate that comparative study, so that there is a dogma prevailing in this country against some of our herbs. You cannot export from India Makaradhwaja here. They don't accept it. They say that it is all toxic. I don't know what makes them, because Ayurveda also accepts that all metals are toxic. and so gold is also toxic. But after processing, that toxicity of gold goes away, and it becomes a real ambrosia.
Yeah.
So these two things, I think she should do it systematically, and we are all with her in this.
With your
Thank
blessings.
you so much.
And Dr. Sharma, would you come here for 1 more minute, please?
Yes, please.
One person who was not here in person for us to honor is your unforgettable wife, Annapurna Devi. So we would like to honor her with something that we've actually made here. This is created by our students. Our students, first they began making ghee and making spice mixes so that we don't just sit here and say, you have this, this, and this, and people think, oh, where am I going to get it? But let us prepare it with our own, purity and with love. Then the students have also been preparing some things for beauty, some oils, some face scrubs, just to help us to move beyond all these chemical things to look beautiful and to remember that beauty comes both from within and also from nature. So since Annapurna Devi has always inspired us, if you see her, she is in her 80s and she's so beautiful. So this will be just adding fragrance to gold. So to speak.
Thank you so much. I accept this on her behalf, and I will say a few words on her behalf why she could not come. And I need your help also there. She has her granddaughter with her husband. They are here with her. So the granddaughter is pregnant also, fortunately. And so her wishes are to be fulfilled by all means. So she wanted her to take us out somewhere. So that is why she could not come. I'm sorry for this
It is
impertinence
good
on her
news.
part.
It is good news for us.
Thank you so much.
And this will be for, I'm sure there are so many people in your family and extended family.
Yes. Thank you so much. I will
Our
add yours.
California chocolates for you.
Okay, so this is also done by our.
And I also wanted you to bless my student Tracy and my child.
So that Tracy ji, you are the best coordinator. There is a Sanskrit line, and that is also relevant for all of us.
Come, take a photo.
There is a line that there is no letter which does not have a mantric value. There is no plant which does not have therapeutic value. And there is none incompetent. Everybody is competent, every plant has therapeutic value, and every letter has mantric value if there is a proper coordinator like Tracy.
Tracy used to be very shy, and Tracy, I told her, I said, this is a very big seva for your teacher you have to do. And she has sacrificed her shyness and taken on a lot of public roles for us. So if you would do the closing mantra for us. Thank you all the visiting teachers.
Some of you may know it, some of you may not. So if you don't know it, just listen and the vibration will start.
Am I everyone?